The Battlestar Pegasus is a fan-favorite vessel in both the original Glen A. Larson and Ronald D. Moore reimagined Battlestar Galactica series. In both timelines, the arrival of the Pegasus serves as a turning point in humanity's quest for survival and their journey to find a new home. In this video, I'd like to talk about the history of this famous ship and how it left its mark to be remembered in the Battlestar Galactica mythos. In the 1978 original series, the story picks up shortly before the fall of the 12 colonies at the end of the Thousand Yaren War. In the years leading up to this event, under the leadership of Commander Kane, the Battlestar Pegasus held a border patrol assignment at the edge of colonial space. Kane was widely regarded as a living legend and the greatest military commander that ever lived, due in part to his bold and daring command style, as well as his deployment of aggressive military tactics. Just 2 Yaren before the fall of the 12 colonies, the Pegasus took part in a conflict with the Cylons known as the Battle of Molokai. This battle resulted in the destruction of the entire 5th Colonial Fleet, aside from the Pegasus, which was able to escape when Commander Kane ordered it into deep space, knowing that the Cylons would have a strong presence on the route back home. Afterward, the Pegasus was presumed by the 12 colonies to have been destroyed. However, under Kane's leadership, they were able to survive by heading to the remote supply base on Gamorre, the capital planet of the Delphian Empire, which the Cylons had turned into their outer capital. There, the Pegasus ran offensive military strikes around the clock, continuing to knock the Cylons' base down on Gamorre, which allowed them to continue securing the fuel and ammunition needed to remain operational. The Cylons were prevented from responding in force to these assaults, due in large part to the activity of the Galactica, which was drawing their collective focus. Shortly after the rendezvous between the two Battlestars, the commanders of each ship came to be at odds over what to do next. While Commander Adama held a conservative view, preferring to stay on the run, Kane favored an aggressive approach as he sought to press the attack in order to recapture Gamorre and secure it as a base of colonial operations. This divide resulted in Kane acting to sabotage Adama's plans to secure the fuel needed for the fleet to escape. After Kane's treachery was exposed, he was removed from his command of the Pegasus and was replaced by Colonel Tai. This resulted in a conflict between several members of the Galactica and Pegasus crews, which was cut short by a Cylon attack. After Kane admitted his fault and reaffirmed his devotion to the preservation of the colonial fleet, the living legend was restored to his command post on the Pegasus, as Adama sought to utilize his tactical genius to thwart the incoming Cylon assault. Kane was able to capitalize on the Cylon fleet's focus on Galactica to initiate a surprise attack with the Pegasus, catching them off guard and forcing their retreat. With 3 base ships and 4 squadrons remaining, however, the Cylons still posed a formidable threat. A plan was then devised to deploy a strike force to assault Gamorre, while the Pegasus moved to divert the base ships and lead them away. In execution, however, Kane instead ordered the Pegasus to fly straight into the heart of the fleet after offloading all non-essential personnel. This maneuver forced the Cylons to recall their fighters in defense, allowing the colonial fleet to survive. In order to buy enough time for their fighters to return, the Cylon leader Baltar sent 2 of the 3 base stars to contend with the Pegasus while he retreated. Through the deployment of its electronic defense shields and the support of 2 of Galactica's Viper pilots, the Pegasus was able to survive long enough to position itself directly between the 2 base stars, which it was able to destroy with the deployment of its missiles. The Pegasus then vanished in the explosion, leaving its ultimate fate a mystery. In the Ronald D. Moore series, many elements involving the story arc of the Pegasus were carried over. In the reimagined timeline, under the command of Admiral Helena Kane, the Pegasus was one of the most advanced battlestars to date. One flaw which proved to be fatal for many of the newer colonial vessels similar to the Pegasus was the incorporation of a command navigation program, which allowed the Cylons to hack into any vessel with this operating system. Shortly before the fall of the 12 colonies, the Pegasus had been docked for a refit. Subsequently, its command navigation program was disabled. When the shipyard housing the Pegasus was attacked, Admiral Kane ordered the decoupling of the vessel as well as the execution of a blind jump, placing it multiple jumps away from its previous position. After they received confirmation of the destruction of the 12 colonies, with the mindset that the best defense is a good offense, Kane ordered the Pegasus to perform a series of strikes against select pockets of Cylon forces. Kane was unrelenting and often cruel in her command of the vessel, willing to execute any officer who resisted her orders. Eventually, the Pegasus would detect a small refugee fleet of civilian craft. Perceiving this fleet to be a liability, she ordered the ships to be cannibalized, forcing compliance from its engineers by threatening the murder of their families by colonial forces. In time, the Pegasus would discover the Galactica and its civilian fleet as it was staging an ambush on the Cylons. While their initial rendezvous resulted in much jubilation, the morale quickly soured as the stark contrast between the leadership styles of Commander Adama and Admiral Kane became clear. As the superior officer, Admiral Kane gained control of the colonial fleet and immediately began to neglect the maintenance of the civilian ships in favor of resupplying the Galactica. Because of Commander Adama's more forgiving leadership style, Kane began to make personnel changes on the Galactica and integrated the crews, resulting in rising hostilities. More problems arose after the revelation of the brutal tactics employed by the Pegasus crew toward Cylon prisoners, culminating in a standoff between the two sides. However, the sudden discovery of a Cylon resurrection ship led to a tenuous truce. After the resurrection ship was destroyed, Admiral Kane was assassinated by an escaped Cylon prisoner as retribution for the torture she endured. In the aftermath of Kane's death, Adama was promoted to the rank of Admiral by President Roslin, and Colonel Fisk was promoted to Commander in charge of the Pegasus. His turn at command was short-lived, as he became heavily involved in the black market, which led to his murder by rival black marketeers. Fisk was then replaced by Chief Engineer Barry Garner, whose leadership was plagued with problems, as he gave in to megalomaniacal and paranoid tendencies, frightening the crew of the Pegasus into submission. In defiance of Admiral Adama's orders, Commander Garner ordered Pegasus to jump to a binary star system in search of a missing Raptor crew, which turned out to be a Cylon ambush, resulting in heavy damage to the vessel and the death of Commander Garner. After the Pegasus returned to the fleet, Major Lee Adama was promoted to the rank of Commander. Eventually, the fleet discovered a habitable world, which they then colonized, calling it New Caprica. The Pegasus and Galactica were then reduced to skeleton crews as they remained in orbital defense of the planet. Just 1 year later, the colony was discovered by the Cylons, forcing the fleet to jump away. During their time over New Caprica, the crew's training regimen had been neglected, and in the months following their departure, a retraining initiative took place as a rescue plan was formulated. Members of the Pegasus crew were then transferred to Galactica to make the vessel fully operational. After Galactica's successful execution of a dangerous maneuver in New Caprica's atmosphere, it jumped back into space where it engaged with multiple Cylon base stars. In an attempt to rescue the Galactica, the Pegasus began firing at the base stars. However, without the personnel needed to operate the vessel, it was put on a collision course with computer-automated weapons fire. This caused enough of a diversion for Galactica's crew to bring its FTL drives online, recover its fighters, and escape. The remaining crew of the Pegasus then abandoned the vessel in a handful of Raptors moments before it collided with one of the base stars. This maneuver resulted in the destruction of the Pegasus, leaving the Galactica as the lone Battlestar left to defend the colonial fleet. While the Pegasus was not able to continue on with the fleet in the timelines of both Battlestar Galactica series, it played a vital part in helping the survivors of the 12 colonies to evade the ever-advancing threat of the Cylons and to find a new and lasting home. But I'm curious to know what you think of the Battlestar Pegasus. Are there any moments involving the ship from either series that stand out to you? Which model of this vessel do you prefer, the original series or the reimagined version? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a like if you did, and be sure to subscribe for more Battlestar Galactica and other sci-fi and fantasy news and lore. Thank you all so much for your support, and as always, have a very nerdy day.